Okay, we are back with our geometry lessons in chapter 14, and we are today going to talk about prisms and pyramids. We talked about this a little bit the other day, um, but if you look at the top of your page today, this is page 329, you'll see the definition of a prism. A prism has at least two faces that are identical and parallel to each other. It is named according to the shape of its base. Okay, so a prism has two faces that are identical and parallel at least, and then it is named according to what that shape is. Okay, so we are going to look first about rectangular, square, or triangular to name the prism. Write the number of faces and vertices and edges. Okay, so let's do this together. This is the base and this is the base. So this is a, let me change my size here. Okay, so this is going to be a square. A square. Okay, it's a square prism, but we can just write square there because that's the name of the prism. How many faces does it have? Okay, how many faces? So if it's got a top and a bottom, and then it has one on every side all the way around, that's 4. So 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 faces. How many vertices? So that's where they meet here. So you've got 4 at the top and 4 at the bottom. So that would be 8 vertices. And how many edges? You have 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom, and then 4 on the sides. So 3 sets of 4 is 12. 12 edges. Okay, now this is, what shape is this? This is rectangle. So this is a rectangular prism. Okay. How many faces? Is it going to be the same as the square? Think about that for just a minute. Is it going to have the same faces, vertices, and edges as the square? Yes, it's just going to be elongated a little bit, right? It's going to be stretched. But the number of faces is going to be the same. The number of vertices is going to be the same. And the number of edges is the same. Now, but it won't be true for this one, right? This is a triangular prism. Now this one only has 3 sides. This had 4 and this had 4. That's why they were the same. But this has 3. How many faces does it have though? 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom. So it still has, and then it has 1 here and 1 here and 1 here. Okay, so on each side. So that's 3, 1 on top and 1 on bottom. That's 5. How many vertices does it have? 1, 2, 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. So that would be 6. And how many edges? 3 top, 3 bottom, 3 sides. So 3 sets of 3 is 9. Now we're looking at the nets. Okay, remember the shape flattened out. Here was our cylinder the other day. The shape flattened out is called the net. So we're going to look at these nets and determine if it is a cone, cylinder, square, prism. Okay, so like this. Rectangular prism or triangular prism. Okay, so look at this one. What is that going to make? If all of these are the same size and this is a square, that's going to be a square prism. Now look at this one. This has a circular base and it's going to come to a point. So that's going to be a cone. This has a triangle and it has a base to it. Okay? These are the 2 bases, okay, that are looking at each other. So that is a triangular prism. This one is rectangles that are all connected. So this one is going to be a rectangular prism. And this has a circle at the top and a circle at the bottom. Okay, so just like this, circle, circle, and then the part that comes around this way. So that's going to be the cylinder. Okay, so do you see how it's just those shapes opened up? Now we're practicing our 2D, 3D again. Look at these objects they give you. A baseball card, 2D, right? A square prism, 3D. A soda can, 3D. A letter, 2D, right? Because it doesn't have the height to it. Now, name the figures. What did we say this one was? If it comes to a point, cone. This is like the oatmeal box, the cylinder. And this, don't put circle. We want to do the three-dimensional figure. So it's not a circle, it's a what? A sphere. A sphere. Now, draw a prism and a pyramid and label the bases. Okay, so we are going to try our hand at 3D drawing. Okay, so first we're going to try to do a prism kind of like a cube. So if you've ever tried to draw a cube before, you've got your square here. Mine's not going to be that great. Okay. Now, you're going to do your lines that you're going to connect, right? So these are going to come, you're going to make it come out like a box, and every corner has to have an edge, so it's going to come out. Now, I'm going to connect all of those corners. Okay, so do you see how I did that? I did the square, then I came straight out kind of to an angle. Another way to do it is to make the two squares first. Okay, so let's see if I made a square here. And then I came and overlapped a little bit and made another one there. Now all I have to do is connect my corners. Okay? I think the other one looked a little bit neater, but either way, that's two ways to draw. I just bit the end off of it. Two ways to draw a 3D prism. Okay, now let's do the pyramid. The pyramid, we're going to do a square pyramid. So our pyramid is going to have a square. But instead of having two faces, a square and a square, this one has to come to a point. So this one, actually an easier way to do it would be to draw it first like a diamond. Okay, now this is going to come up. This is going to be the top. And then this has to come here. This has to come here. And we even have this very back part. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and they're meeting at a point. Okay, so that's a pyramid. Now, mine's not a perfect pyramid, but it is, you can see that it's meeting to a point. If I wanted, I'm going to try to make this a little bit better. What if I took my diamond and made it a little bit squattier, like this? Now I can come up, and then it comes down and down, and you kind of see that side there. Now, that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? So that's a pyramid, prism. Do your drawings there on that side. Now let's look at the back. Okay, now we're going to look at the pyramid. So look at the definition of a pyramid. A pyramid is a polygon, so many-sided, as its base, has a polygon as its base, and at least 3 triangular faces that meet at a common vertex, okay, so a point, and it is named according to the shape of its base. So on the other page, on the front, we drew a square pyramid. We started with a square, and then we met them to a point. So look at this. We've got rectangular, square, or triangular. So what's the base here? This base is a square. And how many faces? It has 4 up here and 1 on the bottom. So it has 5 faces. It has 1 point at the top and then 1 point at each corner. This is not a square. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 vertices. And how many edges? There's 4 for each side on the top, and there's 4 for the square on the bottom. So that's 8 edges. So this one, look at the base of this. This is a triangular pyramid. And how many faces does it have? It has the bottom, and then it has 3 for each side. So that's 4 faces. And it has a top point and 1 point for each corner. So it's going to have 4 vertices. And how many edges? It has 1, 2, 3 for each side and 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. So it has 6. Now this one, that's not a square, but it is a rectangular base. So it's going to be the same as this because they're going to have the same amount of sides even though the rectangle is a little bit longer. So it's going to have 5 faces, 5 vertices, and 8 edges. Okay, let's name the nets again. Now, this we need to be able to tell the difference between a prism and a pyramid. Okay, we want to tell the difference between a prism and a pyramid. So this one, look how all of these have points at the end. So that's going to come to a point. But what's the base? The base is a rectangle. So this is going to be a rectangular pyramid because it's going to come to a point. Okay, look at this one. This has points at the end, so that's going to come to a point. And what's the base? A triangle. So this is a triangular pyramid. And what about this one? These come to points, so it's going to meet. And what's its base? Its base is a square. So this is a square pyramid. Now this does not come to a point, so this is going to be our prism. Look at the base. It's a rectangle, so it is a rectangular prism. Here's our circle. Which ones have circles? This comes to a point, so it's our cone. This one does not come to a point because see how it's got the rectangles out to the side? But it does have a triangle as its base. So it is a triangular prism. This is another circular one, so it's our cylinder. And this one has squares and a square base, but it does not come to a point. So it is a square prism. Okay, see the difference? Now, describe the figure using the terms congruent and parallel. Okay, congruent and parallel. So, what does the cylinder have that's congruent? The cylinder has 2 congruent, what? Congruent and parallel faces, right? They're about the same size and they're parallel, so 2. What about this one? The rectangular prism has what? Has what's parallel? Parallel faces that are congruent. Okay, so it has parallel faces that are congruent here and top and bottom. But the cylinder only has two. So look here. Which figure does not belong? I used to watch Sesame Street and they used to sing this song about which one of these just doesn't belong here. So which one do you think doesn't belong? What do you think? There could be a couple different answers here. You could say this cube doesn't belong. And why would it not belong? Because it doesn't have any curved surface, right? And this has a curved surface, and this has curved, and this one does. But you could also say that the sphere doesn't belong, right? Because it doesn't have any faces. So you decide which one you want to stick with. Do you want to say the sphere, or do you want to pick the cube? And then you explain your answer over here to the side. We all see things a little bit differently. Now, today what I'd like you to do, there are all kinds of ways to make these 3D shapes. You can get some toothpicks and some Play-Doh and make some rectangular prisms and some pyramids. You can use marshmallows and toothpicks if you have those at home. You can get online and find some directions for cutting out a net. It's a little bit more difficult than you might think. You might think you just draw a square and a circle, but they have to be even and exact. So I want you to try to make at least one shape 3D today. And you can choose any materials you have in your house, okay? You can use the Play-Doh if you have it, or clay, and toothpicks, something to stick in it. You can make it out of paper. There's all kinds of directions online, and I'll try to send you some videos or instructions for some of those if you'd like. So in the comments below, I want you to tell me what your plan is today. Okay, tell me how you're going to try to make a shape. Are you going to use paper? Are you going to use Play-Doh? Are you going to use toothpicks and marshmallows? What are you going to do to make your 3D shape? Okay, have fun with it. Do some experimenting. Look around your house and see what you have that you can use.